Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India, Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. As we all know, we are also commemorating World Health Month this month, 2023. And also commemorating India's G20 presidency. Along with that, this week, we have commemorations, Animal Cruelty, Human Violence Awareness Week in UK, April 17th to 23rd, and National Freelance Business Week, 17th to 23rd April in US, and also National Work Zone Awareness Week, 17th to 21st in US. And apart from that, we have International Haiku Poetry, which is an ancient Japanese poetry featuring 3 lines with a syllable structure, 575. And various other funny days. And today is also Herbalist Day and International Bat Appreciation Day, International Day of Master Conversations that Matter. And we have National Kickball Day and No Limits for Deaf Children Day. And today, more importantly, it's Hemophilia Day. And today is also World Circus Day. And there are many, but we will try to limit ourselves. Due to time constraints, registration form has been shared in the chat box. Those who have not registered for today's webinar are requested to register. It is mandatory to register every day and participate and provide feedback so that your certificates can be prepared correctly. As of now, the pending certificates are in process. Once they are completed, the present certificates will also be issued all together. So there might be a little bit delay, as we always have a standard time waiting period of 15 working days. But still, we are trying to catch up with the pending tasks. So soon you will be getting all your certificates, pending certificates and the present day certificates within 15 working days. So you can download it from website. And you can also, there is a special event on 22nd on occasion of World Earth Day. And that is also another auspicious occasion for us. That is Akshaya Tritiya, where, it is believed to be the everlasting, ever prosperous and ever declining day. So we thought we'll have a very, good start on that day. So we are organizing a conference from 6 o'clock. So we request everyone. So the presentations, let it be quick and short so that everyone gets an opportunity. That is a very good day to start something. Basically, the day is basically for donating something that we are seeking abundance of it. But unfortunately, due to this modern business corporate practices, whatever we are aspiring, we are gaining or gathering more on that day. But in fact, whatever we are aspiring, say suppose we want abundant knowledge, or we want abundant gold, or we want abundant property, what we have to do is, in fact, we need to donate on that day. And of course, if you have more than, more capacity, you can also buy new ones. But the basic, on that day, the basic premise is to donate something which you are aspiring for, so that you will get in return in abundance with the Almighty's blessings. So let's use this wonderful opportunity. Every event has, lot of significance which are being organized by taking into consideration, so that everyone gets an opportunity to excel themselves and also utilize and restart. Life provides many opportunities to restart, and always go ahead. There will be certain stepping stones or certain hurdles, but that shouldn't stop us somewhere. Maybe one day we miss the bus, so next day we'll not go by bus or what? Or one day if we miss a train or a flight, we shall not board the flight or the train again or what? It's not like that. We need to understand, we need to analyze what might have happened on that day that caused, that kind of obstacle or hurdle. In a similar way, the life always be, these things keep repeating unless and until we, keep learning that. Unless and until we don't learn the karma, it always keep teaching us. So what is the best way to avoid is to learn it as quickly as possible. That is the only simple solution where we can get rid of that repeated cycles. The liberation or the salvation or the moksha, whatever terminology, all these belief systems believe in, basically, all are, reinforcing the learning. The better we learn, the quicker we learn, the better and the quicker we attain salvation, we attain moksha, we attain liberation, and we will get rid of this life and death cycles. As simple as that. Even our day-to-day activities also, if we don't learn from our own mistakes, the lives will keep teaching us again and again through repeated cycles. So the best way to get rid of it is keep learning. Certain things we have to blindly follow. See, there are only two options in our lives. One is to blindly do. Other is consciously understand everything and do. when you do blindly, then you just simply follow and 100% adherence. That is what we do, when we are children. We are not preconditioned, we are not prejudiced, biased, and we just simply follow the instructions. And that's where our success lies, where we simply follow the instructions, which is designed by the system, and we get the desired outcome. If something has gone somewhere, that means somewhere we have not followed our instructions. So that is where, life, to stop the same repeated cycles, we need to keep our prejudices, subjective opinions or subjective views and prejudices or bias, all these aside. And we have to always keep open-minded, and we need to keep learning. Either we have to blindly follow whatever instructions or whatever life is teaching us or whatever instructions are provided when we are following at a system. Say it may be in school also. You cannot say you have to change system for me. That is not possible. You will be out of the system. Either you follow the system, or you are out of the system, or you keep struggling as within the system until your energy gets completely drained out. And rarely, in nowadays systems are so rigid, so diverse, hardly some miracle happens and system changes. Because people are now in a very easy way and in a very, they want things easily. They don't want to work hard. They want to put more resources. So nowadays people least bothered about ethics and morals and other things. It doesn't mean that all are doing like that. Most of them. So in this context, so it is very important for us to keep adapting to the situation. Now we keep, especially when we are talking, this is all related to a commemoration today, one of the commemorations. So I just want to introduce it so that we can get into actual commemoration of that day. So it is a very significant day. So we are taking up. So what happens, when we are not in line with the system, we are not following the system, it creates a lot of, stress among us. See, one thing is, when we follow the system, automatically we go through the system safely and without any hurdles. When we don't follow, what happens? These things keep coming and coming again and again. That will stress out us and burn out us, and we will not be going anywhere. Again, that is the problem. Okay, after so much struggle, are we going somewhere? Are we up to somewhere? No. We are stuck there. So we should not be in such a position that we are stuck somewhere and we cannot move forward. In that way, we are losing opportunities. We are losing our, future. We are losing our abilities for the potential. So today in this competitive world, what is more required is, to grab the opportunities. It doesn't mean, exploiting others and, tumbling upon them and grabbing. Whatever opportunity we get now, we have to utilize. We should not, overthink about the outcomes. That is where we lose many opportunities. Before, we don't properly analyze the opportunity we have. We don't, analyze the benefits we have. We always think, unfortunately, only we human beings have become like that. When we get an opportunity or someone offers an opportunity, we think instead of what benefit it can bring to me, we think in a way what benefit, how much benefit that person is getting, or that entity is getting, or that organization is getting. In that process, we lose our benefit because we focus more or we overthink more about them. Of course, definitely it's a win-win situation for everyone. Maybe some people have some other motive or some other intention, or some other organization, some other entities might have some other intention. But that shouldn't bother us. We have to move ahead with our aspirations, with our goals and objectives. So with that activity, or without, it may be volunteering activity, or it may be profession, or it may be practice, anything, whatever you take it up, we are more focused on what others are getting out of it rather than what we are getting. This makes us, keep away from our own opportunities where we are not able to utilize. Instead of, working on what actually have gone wrong and being flexible and adaptable, we get stuck there and we are not going anywhere. So that keeps us, in more of stress and anxiety, and also we keep negative thoughts flowing us, and we'll be more negatively skewed, our thoughts, actions, behavior, and we lose trust also. Nowadays, trusting is a very big thing. We don't trust even our own family members today. Once something has happened, then we don't have that kind of trust. We say trust, but trust is something that we trust the person completely. It's not that partial. Nowadays, that also has become pseudo-trust. Trusting means we have to blindly, believe them, have faith in them, have respect towards them. But we are not having that. If something goes wrong, like, there is an entire paper, white paper, but we always, and there is a small dot, some color dot. It might be black, blue, red, anything. We are, in such a way that we are not appreciating the entire whiteness of the entire sheet, maybe A4 sheet or legal sheet. But we are focusing on the dot, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. Our life has become like that. We might be given so many opportunities, but what we focus on, where something has gone wrong, and we are focusing on that, and we are not appreciating the entire white sheet. We are focusing on only the dot, and we are overemphasizing on the dot, or 1 or 2, 3 dots, and we are losing the entire white space. This is how, even in our lives also, we lose the opportunities. We lose our potentials to get, ahead. So this should be avoided so that we can gain more and more opportunities. So let's hope, in coming days, we also take these opportunities wherever it may be, and don't expect too much. Whenever we take up such opportunities without any expectations, that gives a lot of joy, happiness, and satisfaction, rather than, taking up some activity or some duty with already a predetermined expectations. Because we may meet, we might not meet. We might meet and we might not meet that expectations. Again, that causes a lot of misery, disappointment and discouragement, demotivation and all. So that's why I always take, whatever comes is good, whatever comes is a benefit of it. Whether it may be 1% or whether it may be 100%, that doesn't matter. It is still a benefit for us. See, whether we get 1 rupee or whether we get 100 rupees or 1 lakh rupees or 1 crore rupees, that shouldn't bother you as long as you are getting something. That again depends on various factors, how much you are going to get, on which platform you are there, or on which organization you are there, or on which activity you are there, on certain areas or in certain domains. There may be more opportunities, or there may be high pay, or there may be more revenue or more income. In those areas, you may earn more, but in certain areas, you may not earn anything in monetary terms, but in terms of satisfaction, in terms of contribution, in terms of usefulness to the individuals, others, or society, or to the nation, or to the planet. So these are the various ways we need to, think in so that we always keep ourselves motivated and keep going positive. So, okay, we'll come to that commemoration. Before we'll take some important commemorations like being health occasion. So we have World Hemophilia Day today, which is internationally commemorated. And this day is devoted to those who have hemophilia, is marked to raise awareness and help them have a better future. Hemophilia is a rare condition in which blood cannot clot properly because it lacks adequate blood clotting proteins. So we see some people, a small cut or a small injury, we see a pool of blood, because they do not have that capacity or that blood clotting proteins, where immediately when something happens, when some cut or some injury, some accident happens, blood is not clot, does not get clot, and it flows out of the body. And in no time, the entire blood is out and the person dies. So this is in simply a condition where this day is also celebrated, commemorated globally to improve diagnosis and access to specialized treatment. So this day is to bring individuals with bleeding disorders from all over the world together. So hemophilia was identified in the 10th century when doctors began to take an interest in persons, particularly men who were bleeding profusely after just minor injuries. It is known as abelcasis at that time. Unfortunately, a thorough investigation into the illness was not possible due to limitations of technology at that time. Numerous famous historical figures, particularly members of European royal families, are thought to have had hemophilia. So they were treated with aspirin, which thinned the hemophiliac's blood even more, exacerbating the symptoms. In 1803, Dr. John Conrad Ortev from Philadelphia started to investigate persons he dubbed bleeders more thoroughly, discovering it to be a genetic condition handed down from healthy mothers to boys. Eric von Willebrand, a Finnish physician, wrote a paper in 1926 describing pseudohemophilia, a bleeding illness that affects both men and women equally. The condition was eventually named von Willebrand disease after him. Inga Mary Nilsson and colleagues at Malmö University Hospital in Sweden discovered that the disease was caused by low or insufficient levels of von Willebrand factor in 1957. So hemophilia was formally classified into two categories in 1937, which is A and B. So though no treatment for hemophilia has been discovered yet, no one can manage disease by regularly injecting clotting factors to minimize spontaneous bleeding episodes. The World Federation of Hemophilia established World Hemophilia Day in 1989, and April 17th was selected to commemorate the birthday of the organization's founder, Frank Schnabel, The goal of the day is to promote awareness of the condition and other bleeding diseases and generate funds for the people who cannot afford treatment. So Dr. John Conrad investigates bleeders from Philadelphia, starts to investigate persons he refers to as bleeders more thoroughly, discovering it to be a genetic condition handed down from healthy mothers to boys in 1803. So Dr. Eric von Willebrand, a Finnish physician, writes a paper describing pseudohemophilia, a bleeding illness that equally affects men and women in 1926. In his laboratory, Dr. Alfredo Pawlowski of Argentina identifies two forms of hemophilia, A and B, and classified into two categories in 1937. So WFH, that is World Federation of Hemophilia, establishes World Hemophilia Day, and April 17th is selected to commemorate birthday of the organization's founder, Frank Schnabel, in 1989. So minor cuts are typically not a big deal. If you have severe hemophilia, the greatest worry is internal bleeding, particularly in your knees, ankles, and elbows. Internal bleeding may harm your organs, tissues, and can be fatal. Hemophilia is a rare bleeding illness for which there is presently no treatment. But most blood collection centers refuse donors with hemophilia due to the danger of bleeding. Other facilities refuse anybody who has previously received factor concentrate due to risk of virus infection. Perhaps most essential, you should not give blood because you need to safeguard your veins. So we can create awareness. If you are having such a disease, you can share your stories about how hereditary bleeding diseases have impacted you or someone you know on online and offline. And you may also commemorate this day, and you can also contribute some research, and you can also help in spreading awareness. And to celebrate all persons with a bleeding disorder and to promote awareness for the World Hemophilia Day, turn on red light in your house, business, or even a local landmark. This is the way to raise awareness. And hemophilia is a genetic condition inherited from mother to child. Hemophilia C is considered less dangerous than hemophilia A and B, and people with hemophilia C don't need clotting factor for IV regularly. Because of how the illness is passed down genetically, it is highly unusual for women to be born with it and mostly affects women. So women infrequently have hemophilia, and clotting factor tests, also known as factor assays, are necessary to determine a bleeding disease and a severity of hemophilia. So blood tests diagnose it. And hemophilia A is the most prevalent type of condition, affecting 1 in every 5,000 boys. Hemophilia B affects 1 in every 25,000 boys, and hemophilia C affects 1 in 1 lakh boys. So lack of knowledge about this uncommon but severe ailment is causing delayed diagnosis. Lack of awareness can increase the death toll. So this day helps raise funds that go into the research this condition. As a result, we can learn how to manage it better. And it makes possible for the people living with condition to connect. It also enables the rest of the world to show support. So with this, we shall conclude the commemoration, and we will move on to another commemoration. Today is also World Circus Day. It is celebrated every year on April 17th. around the world, and it is created to shine a spotlight on the circus creators, performers, and artists. As one of the most popular and universal forms of entertainment, circus art is brought to the forefront to create awareness for everyone involved in the industry. This day is dedicated to emphasizing the craft, talents, and skills. It also helps raise funds, attract audience, and enter the zeitgeist of the entertainment scene. From veteran performers to up and coming artists, this day is dedicated to their hard work and dedication. Circus art is not as easy as it looks. It takes years of training and perseverance to achieve mastery. Today we celebrate them and their contribution to the arts. While the origin of circus remains unclear, historians believe that the first circus acts began in the ancient Rome. The circus, the first form of public entertainment, where men and women were separated. The Circus Maximus was the first circus arena built in ancient Rome. In the Old Kingdom era, it could fit at least 250,000 spectators per show. Some of the renowned circus arenas of the Roman era include Circus Neronis, Circus Flaminius, and Circus of Maxentius. So the start of modern circus era began in the 18th century when the Philip Astley opened an amphitheater in Lambeth, London. He pioneered horse riding tricks as a form of entertainment in front of public audience. He initially called this performance arena circle, but the term evolved and later on became prominently the circus. The first mainstream clown was Joseph Grimaldi in 1781. He was well known for his role as Little Clown in his shows, The Triumph of Mirth or Harlequin's Wedding. Later on, Astley exported his circus to France and was able to build 18 more all across Europe. The first modern circus in the United States was founded by John Bill Ricketts on April 3rd, 1790, known as the Circus of Pepin and Breschard. His circus group traveled from Montreal to Havana in the early 19th century. Joshua Purdy was the first one to introduce a large tent as a staple venue for circus acts in 1835. So it was brought to England by Thomas Taplin Cookie in 1835, since it was a lot more practical, flexible, and allowed audiences to gather in a wide open space. Contemporary circuses skyrocketed in 1970s all across Australia, Canada, France, and the United Kingdom. This type of circus combined theater, stunts, and traditional circus acts to tell a story. This heavily influenced the circus we all know today, but it was in 2010 when Princess Stéphane of Monaco publicized the art of circus as a shared cultural heritage and declared April 17th as World Circus Day. So a circus show typically lasts an average of 2 to 2.5 hours, that is 2.5 hours. And as circus is also considered a form of performance art, it requires a specific skill set and immense discipline to master the acts that performers showcase. According to circus superstition, it is unlucky to wear green in the ring. That's why we find most of the time circus performers avoid green color in the entire show. Even it may be in decoration or it may be in the clothes or costumes they wear. Of course, it can be a myth. So, as already mentioned, it can be a superstition. And if you are from United States, one of the biggest festivals celebrating World Circus Day is the Smithsonian Fall Life Festival in Washington, D.C. So enjoy a wild and entertaining program filled with circus arts and stunt showcases with your friends and family. And there's nothing better than showing your support to these circus professionals by supporting their charitable causes. The Central Ring Fundraiser is an annual gala event that is committed to raising money for the students' training and scholarship programs, and travel to Catalonia. One of the biggest World Circus Day celebrations takes place in Catalonia, Spain. A total of 50 shows are usually held in Sabadell, Tena, Berga, Barcelona, Metro, and other Catalonian cities. So juggling, one of the most common circus tricks, started with the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. And Circo Etienne was founded on August 26, 1888, and is still run today by the same Etienne family. One of the traditions that circus performers follow is never whistle or eat peanuts backstage, as they are considered to be bad luck. In 2015, England passed a law that prohibited the use of wild animals in any circus acts, thus England banning the use of wild animals. And it's a superstition that all circus performers carrying hair from an elephant tail in their pockets during performances will have good luck. And the circus industry is large yet scattered all over the world. So this day, World Circus Day, celebration unites them in a shared space where different circus communities from all over the world come together. While it has been long existing as a form of entertainment, not many people know the history of circus. World Circus Day brings these circus performers to the forefront, where their skills are celebrated and recognized as a legitimate art form. Attending these circus events help these performers raise money for their future performance. The more money they raise, the bigger chance they have to source better equipment, bigger venues, and improve their overall working conditions. So with this, we shall end the World Circus Day commemoration. And today is also commemorated as International Bat Appreciation Day, and is a chance to show our flying and mostly nocturnal friends some love, as well as it's obviously being a great excuse to binge a few Batman movies. It's also an opportunity to delve deep and learn about important role bats play in ecosystem and biodiversity. There are over 1,400 different bat species, and contrary to popular opinion that they are blind. So without further ado, let's creep a little deeper into the cave and take a closer look at the International Bat Appreciation Day and everything these flying mammals have to offer. Bat Conservation International was founded in 1982 by a group of concerned scientists. Who recognize the importance of protecting bats. Bats contribute towards controlling pests, create rich fertilizer for landowners, and pollinate fruit and flowers. So BCI aims to conserve bats and their habitats through a combination of education, conservation, and research. Human activities such as deforestation, mining, and irresponsible tourism have caused a substantial decrease in the bats' population. Bats have often been understudied and misunderstood animals. They are often perceived as disease spreaders, when in reality, they help keep the numbers of many pests down. So between 2014 and 2018, the BCI identified 35 critically endangered species of bat that is become a priority to protect. These species are spread throughout the world, including the US, South America, and the Philippines. To help their cause and increase awareness on all that bats do for the environment, the BCI introduced International Bat Appreciation Day. So now you know bats have an important role to play, and we should be grateful for their presence. And there are more than 40 species of bats that live in the United States. So let's read about them or watch a nature documentary, whatever your preferred medium. Dedicate some time to exploring the role bats play within our complex ecosystem. Bat Conservation International is working hard to protect endangered species and to ensure proper upkeep and conservation of bats' habitats. Donate either time or money to the cause. It is definitely a more abstract. It's definitely a more abstract way of celebrating bats by watching Batman, but it counts nonetheless. Maybe watch a friend with, and occasionally pause the movie to read out some bat-related trivia. Depending on the species, bats eat a variety of things: fruit, nectar, insects, and even blood. So a single brown bat can eat around 1,200 mosquitoes in 1 hour, and they are voracious eaters. And bats can digest mangoes and other large food in about 20 minutes. They are fast metabolisms. They open up a wound and lick the blood instead. So vampire bats don't suck blood. And there are more than 1,400 species of bats. That's about a quarter of all total mammal species. So bats face a diverse array of threats: human hunting, deforestation. While many see bats as blood-sucking, disease-ridden pests, the truth of the matter is the bats play an important role within the ecosystem, especially with pollination and reduction of harmful insects. Bats are considered keystone species that are essential to the ecosystem. Without bats, pollination and seed dispersing services, local ecosystems could gradually collapse, and entire zones would not be as rich as in flora fauna as they are right now. And as we were discussing about, the relationships and the conversations and communications, today is International Day of Mastering Conversations That Matter. So important conversations are the reasons why humanity stands where it is today. The ability to communicate is what separates us from all other species in the world. The advancements in medical science and technology testify to what humans are capable of. All these achievements can be traced back to an idea, An idea that was shared, discussed, and an idea that was shared, discussed, and debated. And all of these achievements can be traced back to an idea. Important conversations have helped build empires from scratch, and the lack of them has resulted their fall. Not just empires, but relationships tend to break apart with poor communication. It is important for the survival of human race to constantly share ideas and bridge gaps. It is also important to learn and discuss things in the past so that we can have a better tomorrow. So since the first debating societies emerged in ancient Greece, in the West and in India, in Greece it was the Athenian democracy, and in India it was democracy, and they were known as Shastartha. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the age of enlightenment came. It was an intellectual movement that gave birth to new perceptions regarding happiness and one's pursuit of happiness. The Trinity College, Dublin, established two debating societies, the Phil in 1683 and the Hill in 1770. The Dialectic and Philanthropic Societies were established in 1795, and the St. Andrews Debating Society was established in Britain in 1794. Schools and educational institutions have always stressed the importance of teaching how to train younger generation to express themselves efficiently. An idea is not of much importance if it cannot be expressed properly. Debates and effective conversation workshops are held to teach students what to think about and how. So the first parliamentary debate takes place in Liverpool, England in 1882. So young adults are encouraged to master the art of conversations since 2018. Healthy debates are an excellent way to exercise our communication skills. Engage in a debate with someone, friends, family, or someone from a debating society. A conversation is a two-way street, and listening is an integral part of any conversation. Sometimes nonverbal cues speak louder than words. Body language matters. Speaking slowly ensures that the other person can listen to you attentively and process the idea you are expressing. And some things are better expressed with certain words. So having a wide vocabulary tremendously improves communication. And this day also reminds us the importance of having meaningful conversations. It can be with your family, with your Many people observe this day, taking steps to improve their communication skills, either by enrolling themselves in courses or participating in debates. So see what you can do on this day to join it. And this day of learning and sharing knowledge, it gives us chance to learn new things and share them with friends and family. So today is National Work Zone Awareness Week, which is a public health and safety event held each year from April 17th to 21st this year. To shine a much deserved spotlight on how we all are equally responsible for maintaining work zone safety. So let's support this event by learning about the importance of practicing extra caution while moving through construction zones and paying attention to the motorist and worker safety. Around 24 years ago, Virginia's Department of Transportation came up with a plan to raise work zone safety awareness internally. They launched a public awareness campaign that very next year, and within 2 years, their plan has attracted the attention of American Traffic Safety Services Association, the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and the Federal Highway Administration, all of whom partnered with Virginia's Department of Transportation to establish National Network Zone Awareness Week, coordinating and sponsoring events to raise awareness about this public campaign. The increased exposure in multiple level events hosted, they also have support from various individuals and organizations who have been impacted by work zone safety. Each year, many states host their own National Work Zone Awareness Week events. So a work zone is an area where roadworks takes place and typically involves construction, maintenance, and utility work. This place is marked with signs, channelizing devices, barriers, pavements, markings, and or work vehicles. These signs are usually orange, announcing that road work is taking place around you and you should slow down and drive carefully. You also need to look out for workers who may be directing traffic. Accidents or crashes that takes place within the boundaries of the work zone or their entries, exits are called work zone crashes. The most common type includes rear-end crashes. Education and safety is one of the best ways to increase awareness about work zone safety. If you are involved in construction work or know people who perform such tasks, you can organize events to retrain workers on safety protocols. If you are a motorist, it's beneficial to learn about safety tips while traveling through work zones and spread this awareness to others too. If such an event is taking place near you, take some time to attend and to learn it more about following appropriate safety protocols firsthand. So don't be only one with knowledge of how to maintain work zone safety. Increase awareness of this week and its history among your community, family, and friends. You could end up saving lives. So spring and summer is the peak construction season. So statistics indicate that Statistics indicate construction-related hiring increases by 40% during March and April each year, signaling the start of construction season. National Work Zone Awareness Week events are held at the beginning of April, coincide with the construction season in order to minimize the chance of accidents. While the actual work usually happens at night, the majority of work zone accidents are actually occurring in the daytime hours. So data shows that motorists are hurt more frequently than workers in work zones. Every year, traffic accidents are on the rise. Events like these help increase knowledge about road safety, and they will work at reducing grim statistics to a great extent. And naturally, with more safety and awareness comes a reduction in work zone accidents. With motorists, naturally, with more safety and awareness comes a reduction in work zone accidents. With motorists and travelers equipped with higher understanding of rules to follow inside work zones, the chances of people losing their lives in these accidents are significantly reduced. We don't know many people who like to travel through a work zone, even with their awareness of safety. An increase in awareness means people are more careful when traveling through the work zones, and the work can control. So with this, we shall conclude the commemoration. And today is also National Freelance Business Week, which takes place third week of April every year, and this week from 17th to 23rd. While freelance business are run independently, there is still power in unity and a sense of community to keep moving onwards and upwards. This week brings together freelance their business and the owners. So freelancing is an idea that has been around for hundreds of years. The word freelance first appeared in the print of the early 19th century. The Life and Times of Hugh Miller by Thomas N. Brown was the first publication to use the term. Following that, Sir Walter Scott referenced it to his work. Ivanhoe, originally, freelancers were mercenary soldiers who sold their services in the Middle Ages, which is quite analogous to the present its day meaning. As centuries passed, the term outgrew in military roots and gained prominence in the corporate world. There were no significant changes in the meaning during this transition. Freelancers contribute to the market, sell their products and services to numerous businesses, and to get the pay. So a modern day freelancer is a person who is self-employed and is not dedicated to any single employer or organization for the long term. Sometimes freelancers choose a film or temporary agency. Emily Leach, a pioneer of sorts in the freelancing world, is of firm belief that freelancers work best in an active, uplifting a community. She built the largest Today is also commemorated at No Limits for the Deaf Children Day. Provided the right platform and encouragement, deaf kids can achieve anything. This is meant to honor and recognize hearing impaired infants across the US. Children and impairments are frequently overlooked, with accomplishments and victories going unnoticed. So a day like this paves a way to bring the suggestion. There are millions of people worldwide who live with deafness or loss of hearing. In the United States alone, hearing impairments affect around 1 in 20 Americans. A significant chunk of this number consists of deaf children. While there are several other resources available to help with hearing impairments, there are still certain aspects of society that have room for growth in their behavior towards deaf children. Therefore, continues to exist a stigma around the loss of hearing, and those who live with it are seen as less than equal to the quarter members of the community. So Dr. Michael Christie recognized this gap in the society and its treatment of deaf children and decided to spur change. Dr. Christie created an after-school program to help children with hearing loss develop communications, expand vocabulary, having helped in innumerable deaf children, enabling them to comfortably enter into the hearing world by role-playing, growing creativity, and honing public speaking skills. Dr. Christie went to extend the program and opened up No Limits Center. She brought a significant difference in deaf children and lives and helped them realize their potential. On April 17th, so this week is also commemorated as National Cruelty Human Violence Awareness Week in in UK. And the purpose of this week is to bring to light the inhuman acts of animal abuse and violence towards humans, and the connection between the two can have. Both of these acts are unwarranted and unacceptable in any way. And this week initiates much needed conversation around the same. Animal cruelty and human violence are horrendous acts with a connection that can often go noticed or unnoticed. So looking back at the history, there is a plethora of archaeological evidence that has been considered for the study of violence and cruelty. There have been many proposed theories attributing to the origin of violent acts to archaeological remains found of humans and animal skeletons. However, none have been concrete enough to confirm a time of origin. These remains were only suggestive of the individual incidents and could not behaviors of cruelty and violence against neither animals nor humans are right or justified in any way. Studies show that domestic abusers are more likely to target pets for animal cruelty. Domestic and child abusers exhibit violent tendencies that are indicative of their capability and inclination towards also being animal abusers. Violence is never the onset or answer for anything. There should be some change brought to end these horrific acts that are unfortunately still quite common in the society. Today is also commemorated as Herbalist Day to honor herbalists and important role they have played in our modern lives. Plants and herbs have been used to help humans since the dawn of time. The many benefits of plants that we have us unlocked from their medical uses and healing properties to nutrition are primarily contribution of herbalists everywhere. On this occasion, we recognize the role and contributions of herbalists. Herbalism is the study of plants and herbs, usually for medical purposes. Throughout history, herbalists were mainly focused on studying plants and selling solutions and plants to be used with their healing properties. As much as this field of study revealed during the last few decades, herbalists are now able to herbalists are still recognized in many countries, though there are far fewer specialized university courses on the subject. The study of herbs became more specialized in the late 20th century, becoming a part of pharmacy and medicine. Even though herbalism is now part of several scientific disciplines, there are still courses devoted to it. Today, the practice of herbalist is still very common as we constantly rely on the herbs for several purposes. The difference, however, is the profession is significantly different from what it was several centuries ago. In recent years, several initiatives and cooperative programs have been organized in several countries to renew herbalism. An herbalist can study plants for their medicinal properties or prepare them for sale. Throughout the centuries, a particular task of herbalists keep developing into various specialties. Herbalists have been known throughout history by different names. Herb doctors, naturopaths are the common names used to refer to herbalist. And herbalists should first be familiar with botanical sciences and botany, depending on the type of herbalism and practices. Throughout history, herbs can serve multiple purposes, accompanied human life, and were used in several ways, including as dried herbs added to food and medicinal preparations. Before doctors could operate and perform surgeries, diagnoses were rudimentary, and the role of physician was limited to prescribing plants and herbs that would make the patient feel better. Across cultures, humans have consistently cherished the secret meanings of many herbs. For example, flowers symbolize love, and some leaves are tokens of good luck. So, Ayurveda is type of a herbal medicine by the West that commonly used in India, and it can be traced back to 4000 BC. Many plants that existed for centuries are only history to us. For example, the Syphilium plant, commonly so today is also commemorated as 2A Day, the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, and is observed, celebrated, and remembered. It honors the founding fathers' foresight in enshrining the rights of American people as represented in the Second Amendment. Americans' right to own and carry firearms is protected under the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. On December 15, 1791, the Second Amendment and the Third Nine Bill gave of rights to provisions were passed. The Supreme Court ruled the District of Columbia v. versus Heller 2008 that non-military people had no right to On December 15, 1791, the Second Amendment and the other 9 Bill of Rights provisions were passed. The Supreme Court ruled in District versus of Columbia and Heller that non-military people had the right to have arms in their homes for their self-defense. So even though Queen Elizabeth's attempt to create a national militia was a dismissal failure, the militar's philosophy served as a powerful political instrument up to middle of 18th century. The political debate over the formation and administration of militia has a considerable impact on both English civil wars and the Glorious Revolution. Several constitutional historians contested and rejected the court's finding that the Second Amendment protected people's right to keep and bear arms for home defense, despite the outcome of Heller and McDonald case before United States Supreme Court, before the Supreme Court ruling in McDonald case before the United States Supreme Court. Before the Supreme Court's ruling in the current case, judges and academics have been discussing for about 200 years whether Second Amendment genuinely safeguarded the right of individuals to defend these animals. To defend themselves. However, the definition of self-defense was developed in the late 20th century, and a sizable minority of judges has adopted it by point. The majority of Americans, particularly those who opposed gun restrictions, did not hold the second self-defense viewpoint in the high regard. Today is also a funny day, blah, 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 blah day in US. It is to encourage you to listen to nagging words that from your loved ones or friends and to action them. It's also a time to start accomplishing what you set as New Year's resolution. And blah as a word was first used in 1918 memoir in relation to the gossiping and talking about meaningless topics. Dictionary.com defines blah, blah, blah as meaningless chatter, idle gossip. Blah, blah, blah is also used when you are uninterested in what someone is saying or feeling the other person is nagging. Conversations are interactive communication between two or more people, and humans have been having conversations since the dawn of time. And it has been a critical aspect of how we shape the world around us. Through conversations, we shared ideas, learned and worked toward the development of human civilization. According to historians, the phrase blah, blah, blah is believed to be originated in the ancient Greece from bar, bar, bar. This phrase was derived from the sounds made by barbarians, and they were considered to be meaningless noises. Over the millennia, this sound morphed into phrases such as yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Aside from being used to refer to meaningless noises, blab became a term for revealing a secret. That's why we say don't blab. Blab was first used in writing. Howard Vincent O'Brien, an American journalist, he used it in his 1918 memoir, Wine, Woman, and War. He pulled old blast about service. Then in 1921, the National Weekly used a double blah in their magazine. Blah is thought to have evolved from the blah, 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 which is commonly used in the 19th century books. In the post-World War II, the use of blah, blah, blah increased according to Google saying graph. Viewer, it increased 50-fold between 1960 and 2000. So in 2006, Ruth and Thomas Roy of Wellcat Holidays and Herb launched Blah, Blah, Blah Day to appreciate casual conversation and to encourage people to do what others have been nagging them about. And it's also about listening to people's advice and putting them into action. Today is also National Kickball Day in US. It's time to hit the playground for some good old-fashioned ball kicking action. Kickball is a widely enjoyed sport all over the globe. In some parts of Canada, the game is known as soccer baseball, while in the United Kingdom, it is known as football rounders. it has existed. So today is also commemorated as National Nothing Like a Dame Day. It was created to honor the women of theatre and films. The idea was further popularized when veteran actress Dames Aileen Atkins, Judi Dench, Joan Plowright, and Maggie Smith came together for the documentary There's Nothing Like a Dame. And Dame has changed over the years. It went from being a female ruler to something that referred to all women. In the UK, a dame is a woman who has been honored for their work for a long time. So today is also International Haiku Poetry Day. A haiku is an ancient form of Japanese poetry that consists of 3 lines with syllable structure, like 575. Although this is contested for being a Western way of teaching the haiku, Japanese haikus also found sounds, not only syllables. Haikus typically revolve around the nature, passing of seasons, or ephemeral beauty. At the risk of sounding like your high school English teacher, they rely more on the images of metaphors. They are also very concise due to its short length. The Haiku Foundation hosts many events on this day, such as readings, exhibitions, and competitions. It also sponsors the Haiku Life, Haiku Film Festival, Earthrise Rolling, Haiku Collaboration, and several international gatherings. Matsuo Basho is perhaps the greatest haiku poet of all time. So read his work to understand what's possible and set your standards high. The haiku form became popular in 17th century Japan and was tied to a practice of Zen meditation. Haikus are so short, poems must count NB word. Fewer lines is more punch. So with this, we shall conclude the commemorations for the day. And we thank everyone for joining us on this wonderful occasion of commemorations and World Hemophilia Day, World Circus Day, and many other occasions, International Back Awareness Day. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form in the forms of polls. And those who have not registered for today's webinar, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, and then you can find the link in chat box where you can go and register yourself. So registration form has been shared in the chat box. Feedback form has been shared in the form of polls. We thank you one and all for joining us once again. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.